We're going to get started in downward facing dog, so you can head there. Looks like my mic's working, yay. Downward facing dog today to start, with the option to take puppy dog pose alternatively, and a couple of props as we're getting going that might be helpful to have are something you can use like a strap. This is just a broken exercise band. You can get creative at home. Something you can use like blocks might be helpful. Could be a stool or chair, could be hardback books or blocks if you have them. In your downward facing dog, remember we want to root down through the whole palm, so that includes the thumb side of the wrist, especially because that's the strongest part of your wrist, and the index finger knuckle, so the inner edges of the hands really pressing down there. Even if you're in puppy dog pose, I want you to think about that as well. And in puppy dog pose, knees are stacked right underneath the hips, so the upper body is still active, forearms are still lifted, elbows are kind of locked out, biceps and triceps are engaged. And what we're looking for in our downward facing dog is lengthening of the spine, so there's kind of a stretch to the back body, but we're also building strength in the shoulder girdle and the muscles around the wrists and the forearms. Okay, so it's kind of complex what's happening in the body. So if you feel like this isn't an easy thing to do, and even if you've been doing it for a while, that's okay, you're not alone. And what moves the needle typically is having something that is a complementary practice to help build strength in the upper body and length in the back body. So maybe the restorative practice on Thursdays can help you build length in the body, and maybe some kind of an exercise weight training regime on off days, like doing push-ups, even bodyweight push-ups. All right, let's take one more breath in our downward facing dog. I know that was a long one, it's on purpose. And then we're going to shift forward to our high plank shape and pause there. And again, you can take a supported high plank. You can set your knees down, but I do want you to think about tucking the tailbone under, kind of hugging your navel up into your back spine, so you have a nice long low back and your core is engaged. You're actively pressing the floor away with your hands, your whole hand, same position as in downward facing dog with those palms. And you're breathing. Make sure you're breathing. And take a nice deep breath in. And a nice long breath out. Lift those hips up and back, downward facing dog. Again, 2 breaths here. And then we'll start to flow in and out of our high plank and our downward facing dog. Okay, so inhale, shift forward, find that high plank, and take the time to set this up so that you're lengthening out through your whole body, so your heel bones can stack over your toes, your shoulders can stack over your wrist, your quadricep muscles can engage, and your low back lengthens. And then exhaling, pressing the floor away, lifting those hips high, downward facing dog again. So let's add some breath to movement. We'll inhale, we'll shift forward, high plank. Doesn't mean you're going fast, but you're moving with your breath. You're exhaling, pressing up and back, downward facing dog. If you need to take a break on this, you can again move in and out of puppy dog pose and that supported high plank with the knees down. So remember, you have options. One more time, up and back, downward facing dog. Let's shift forward to that high plank. And then lower all the way down to the belly, with or without the knees. Walk your elbows forward. Let's find that Sphinx pose. Let's bend that left knee. You can use your strap here. So if you didn't grab it already, take a moment to go grab it. And especially if it's hard for you to reach back and catch a hold of that foot, you can kind of like just drape your strap over your foot so that now you can feel what that stretch sensation feels like across that left quadricep muscle. Try to turn your left chest forward, left hip facing the floor. Keep pressing the floor away with your right elbow. So we're staying lifted and long through the neck. And then we'll release that side. So again, you don't have to use a strap. It's just there as a tool if you need it, if you want it. Sometimes it's nice to explore, even if you think, I don't need that strap. Maybe try using it, see what happens. Bend that right knee. It's an okay thing to be humble in our yoga practice, especially as we get older. All right. Okay, so maybe you're using the strap, maybe you're using your hand. If you are using your hand, anywhere you can grab around that ankle. Can be the inner ankle, outer ankle. And then as you're pulling with the hand or the strap, try pressing the floor away with that left elbow so you're not dumping into the shoulder, the neck. You're pressing the floor away. One more breath here. And then let's release. Set that strap off to the side. Take a moment in your Sphinx pose. I was going to say forearm plank, which is, spoiler alert, where we're headed. Let's take those feet wide and then the hands wide. And you can stay here and just press the floor away. Or if your low back's feeling pretty good, you can lift those elbows up and find that seal shape. And then set the elbows back down. You might walk the elbows in a little bit closer so they stack underneath the shoulders. Tuck your toes, bring your feet back to parallel. Press down into the knees, lift your pelvis up. That's your supported forearm plank. You can absolutely stay there. Or lift the knees up for your forearm plank. Let's see if we can take 2 breaths here. Same principles as in your high plank. You're tucking your tailbone nice and long through your low back. And then see if you can walk up to your hands into your high plank. Lift those hips high, downward facing dog. Maybe bend the knees right and left. Just kind of reset here. Let your downward facing dog or your puppy dog pose be that moment in time where you reset, you reconnect with your breath. Try to relax your head, let it hang heavy. Lengthen out through the back of the neck. Now we're going to walk our hands back to the back of the mat. We'll meet our feet. Take a little bit of a wider stance. Take an inhale breath, lengthen the heart forward. Find this halfway lift, fingertips to the shins or fingertips to the mat, your choice, but lengthen out through those arms. And then let's bend those knees, sink those hips. So you're finding this malasana, kind of like a high malasana squat, right? So we're not sinking all the way down into it just yet. I want you to focus on keeping the heel bones in contact with the floor and just see what that range of motion is like in your ankles. So the moment your heel bones want to lift, that's where you're stopping. If your hips can come down towards the calves and towards the heels without lifting, maybe that's where you go. Let's take one breath here. And then we're going to come back to our halfway lift. So press down through your heel bones, lengthen out through the legs, fingertips to shins or the floor underneath your shoulders. Deep breath in. And then exhale, relax the head, crawl your hands forward. We're arriving into our downward facing dog. And narrow the stance a little bit so the feet are about hip width distance apart. Root down through the thumb and index finger side of the palm. Now let's really narrow the stance. So big toes touching back of the mat in your downward facing dog. Inhale breath, stretch your right leg up and back. Let's take a moment to bend the right knee, point it towards the ceiling. Squeeze your right heel towards your right glute and try to open that hip up a little bit. So you're rotating through the pelvis, but you're trying to keep the chest squared to the floor. Equal pressure through right and left palm. Inhale, re-extend that right leg. Exhale, shift forward, right knee to right wrist. We're going to set up for our favorite, I'm going to say that facetiously, an active pigeon. So right knee to right wrist. Try to angle that right foot across towards the left wrist. Okay, so right knee to right wrist, right foot across the mat towards the left wrist. So you're working towards maybe a 45-degree angle with that right shin. Maybe eventually it's parallel with the top edge of the mat. See if you can get some length out of the back leg. So I like to tuck my toes, my back toes, wiggle the leg back. I'm trying to get on top of my thigh, not the bony knee joint. And then I walk my hands back outside of my hips and try to sit nice and tall here. So it becomes a little bit of a back bend, as well as we're stretching the left hip flexor and we are flexing the right. I was going to say compressing, which is kind of the same thing. Let's take one more breath here. And then on our exhale, walk those hands forward. Let's see if we can reverse out of this. So tuck the back toes, find high plank in that left leg, and then slide that right knee up to the right wrist, right tricep, send the right foot back into your high plank. Lift those hips high, downward facing dog. Pause there, deep breath in, relax your head. Nice long breath out. One more breath cycle here, and then we'll do the second side. So bring your big toes together to touch at the back of your mat. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. Bend that left knee, try to point it towards the ceiling. Try to squeeze that left heel towards the left glute. You're rotating your hips, so let those hips rotate. But try to keep the chest and the shoulders squared forward towards the mat. Inhale, re-extend your left leg long. So nice and slow, like your body's moving through molasses. I want you to think about using your strength and not momentum. Left knee forward towards left wrist. And then swivel that left foot across as much as you can towards the right wrist. So it's that 45, in between 45 degrees and parallel. Tuck the back toes under, wiggle that back right leg, long. Get as long as you can through that back leg. And then let's see if we can sit up nice and tall here. You can walk the hands back alongside the hips. Deep breath in, find that back bend-like sensation. That's in your lumbar spine. Feel a little bit of a stretch across the top of that right thigh. That's your hip flexor. Take one more breath here. And we want to be aware of where our strap is for our next little flow. We're going to kind of add on to this. But first, let's tuck those back toes. Let's find that high plank shape in the right leg. If I can do this with my big dog in the way. All right, slide that left knee up towards the left tricep. Send the left foot back towards high plank. And then this time, let's shift forward with or without the knees lower to the belly. Let's come up into either low cobra or upward facing dog. If you're coming into upward facing dog, your legs are active, your hands are active, your whole body is active. You're not just sinking into this, okay? So quadricep muscles engaged. And then make your way back to downward facing dog. If you're doing that transition from the belly, from low cobra, as usual, I always like to add in that reverse push-up from the ground. May as well build some strength there. All right, 2 more breaths in your downward facing dog. Know that that's always interchangeable with puppy pose or child's pose. We're going to start to walk the hands back to the back of the mat, meet the feet. Widen your stance. Fingertips to the mat or shins. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, relax the upper body. Let's bend those knees. Keep the heel bones in contact with the floor. Find that deep Malasana squat. And deep is relative to your body, your ankle mobility. Has a lot to do with your squat. So try to keep those heel bones grounded. When you feel those heel bones want to lift those hips up. I do want you to keep a little tension in the legs. So try not to rest in this. Now, wherever your strap is, just notice. And if you can, if it's nearby, you can go ahead and grab a hold of it. Let's lift those hips up. Come back to your forward fold. Let the head hang heavy here. Whew. And then we'll roll all the way up to standing. If you feel a little dizzy when you get to the top, tuck your chin into your chest. Let that sensation pass. Breathe deep through your nose. Are you going to do this with me too, bud? Okay. He's looking at me like, what are we doing? So we're going to come into dancer's pose, and I want us to try and use the strap here to get a little bit more length out of the front body. So if you need to close a door so you have a wall space in front of you to help stabilize yourself, or if there's a shelf or even a TV, if it's stable, I don't want you to press all of your body weight into it. Just have something nearby that's a stabilizing force, right? So we're going to shift all of our body weight into our left foot. We're going to bend our right knee. There's a couple ways to do this, but here's what I like to do. I take my strap, I kind of lasso up my right foot, okay, and then I turn it behind me. So lasso up that right foot. I got a hold of the ankle. I keep my right elbow close, and then I bend the knee. I turn my fist to my upper shoulder and my elbow towards the ceiling. And then again, I want to think about engaging the whole back body here. So I'm actively pressing down into my left heel bone. My left glute is firing up, and so is my right glute. Okay, I'm really flexing that leg. Now from here, you can start to reach forward. Left hand can help you stabilize against the wall. I'm going to scoot back just a little bit. And then we're going to start to kick the foot into that strap. And you can lean forward and keep a little pressure, just a little bit. Try to not have all that body weight into the left hand. Put a little pressure with the left hand maybe into whatever prop you're using to try and get that sensation of being able to lean your body forward. Now, if you're at that place where your left leg is really strong and stable, maybe you add your left hand to the other side of the strap. So both fists are holding the strap. And in this case, our chest is nice and open. We're balancing on our left foot. We're kicking the foot actively into the strap, and then we can start to lean forward. Chest eventually becomes parallel. And we're really getting this nice stretch out of that right hip flexor, shoulders, front body. If you feel wobbly, very normal. I do too. Take a breath or two more if you're in it. And when you're ready, let yourself come out. We're just going to take a wide stance with the legs. Oops, sorry, Brewster. And we're just going to sway it out. So wide stance, arms side to side. Let that go. Let the breath return to normal. Back bends, it's really common for your breath to start to speed up because your vital organs are being exposed. So from a nervous system perspective, your body's like, oh my God, we're not safe. We got to protect those vital organs. So from a nervous system perspective, very normal for that heart rate to increase. Let's move on to that second side. So all the body weight shifts into that right foot. However you want to take that ankle, that left foot into the strap, I just kind of like to lasso it up. I'll turn around so you can see it from the other direction. I'll get a little bit closer. I just want you to see this rotation. So I'm holding onto both ends of the strap with my left hand. I keep my elbow close. It's kind of like I'm hitchhiking backwards. Keep the elbow close, and then I let it pop up towards the ceiling. My fist is just resting against my upper left shoulder. Okay, and then from here I can start to reach my right hand forward. Maybe I'm in contact with the prop because I'm helping myself learn how to balance. And in that case, I'm still really actively engaging the back of my left leg, rooting down through that right big toe mound. That's your standing leg. And if that's all feeling really good and I want to play with taking my hand away from the wall or the prop, I like to back out of that first. Take my right hand, my left hand, both hands to that strap, and then reestablish the kick into the strap. Once that's going on, I start to lean my body weight forward. So it's kind of like the kick of the foot into the strap helps me balance as I lean forward, kind of like a teeter-totter effect almost. Wherever you are, maybe a breath or two more, especially if you're in it. But when you're done, you're done. Don't be afraid to get back in if you fall out. When you're ready to release out of that, strap off to the side, wide stance with those feet. Sway your arms side to side. Just let it go. Let your breath return to normal. And I want to move through one more little vinyasa flow and put these movements together of our half pigeon that we did on the floor and our standing balancing with some options to stop along the way. So don't feel like you have to go all the way with this. But if you do feel ready to progress, I'm going to give you some options. A little pit stop before we get there though. So downward facing dog. Relax your head. Return through the thumb and index side of your hand. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Inhale, right leg, stretch it up and back. Exhale, right knee forward, hug it into the chest. Plant that right foot, top of the mat, left knee down. Here's where those blocks might come in handy. We're just doing a little bit more prep work on that left hip flexor. So cat and cow in our lunge, left knee is on the mat, nice and long through your back left leg. Hands can press down into the block. Let's find a little bit of back bend. You might notice that increases that stretch sensation on that left thigh. And then exhale, press down, curl your chin into your chest. You're not going to get very far with this one, and that's okay. So it doesn't always need to be this big, huge, beautiful movement. Inhale, open the chest, hips forward and down, shoulder blades together on the spine. Exhale, around the back, press the hands into the block, chin to the chest. 2 more times, cat and cow in your lunge. Inhale, open up through the chest. Exhale, press those hands into the blocks if you're using them. You can also just be on your fingertips on the floor, or again, like you could use your chair or your stool for this. All right. Now, okay, so we're going to set up for that half pigeon. Your right foot staying forward. You're just going to angle it across your mat. Set up for that half pigeon. If there's a lot of space in between the floor and your right thigh, slide a prop underneath it. Use a pillow. Use a folded blanket. Use your block. Use your paperback book. Get creative. All right, so here we are in our half pigeon. Now, here's our strap. You can absolutely just stay here in your half pigeon. You will be just as successful. You receive all of the benefits, opening that left hip flexor, deep flexion in the right hip. You're golden. Feel free to stay there. If you want to add on king pigeon or full pigeon, bending that left knee, right? So we're bending the left knee, kind of like we did when we were standing in dancers. And you can take that strap, it's so awkward to get it around the ankle, but here's how I like to do it. I get my left foot a little bit closer and I get back into that position. And just like we did before, we keep that elbow close, 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 and we rotate it up towards the ceiling. And then we've got to be able to find that balance, which is tricky, pressing down to that right shin, turning the chest forward, and then maybe eventually we add the right hand reaching back, grabbing a hold of that strap. Now my left foot's not just a floppy fish here in the strap. I'm actively engaging that back leg, kicking the foot into the strap. I'm actively pressing my chest forward. You can layer onto this. You can lean the head back and look up. And then when you're ready to come out, roll all that body weight to your right hip. Slowly unwind with that back leg. Whatever you did, however far you got, you are doing the work. Don't beat yourself up for not getting the king pigeon today. We haven't ever done that in this class before. That was the first time, but we've been working towards this. All right, let's come into the downward facing dog again. Downward facing dog again. I'm just switching sides so that you get a different angle. Downward facing dog, 2 breaths, 2 breaths. And let's come forward, left foot forward. Find that lunge. A few rounds of cat and cow in your lunge. Left foot forward. Hands might be on blocks, nice and long through your back leg. Inhale, open the chest, shoulder blades squeeze together. Exhale, press the floor away, tuck the chin into the chest. This is not, again, it's not a big movement. 2 more times. But it might feel like a big movement in your body. All right. Let's set up for that half pigeon first, and maybe that's where you stay, and that is great. Heel toe that left foot across to the right side of the mat. You're gonna roll all that body weight to your left foot, or your left hip rather, and then maybe you slide a prop underneath it. It's kind of nice to have a little elevation. That means your hips have just a little bit less to rotate forward, squaring the hips, because you're already propping that left hip up. Okay, so maybe we're staying here, we're working here. You can work the balance, you can work the hands up towards the ceiling. You can also try and lasso up that right leg. So look how I'm bending my right knee close to me so I can easily lasso that leg up, and then I send the knee back in space. Try to get the top of the thigh to point down. Rebend that right knee. rotate my elbow up towards the ceiling. I'm still using my left hand kind of like a little kickstand, but if I feel like I can, if you feel like you can take your left hand, or if you want to explore, just how do you know if you don't try? Left hand up to the right strap. If you lose your balance, you can immediately come back out of that, wherever you are. Let's take 2 more breaths. All right, slowly release. Try not to crash land, but safely get yourself out of that. And then we're going to come into downward facing dog one last time. Child's pose if you'd rather, because we're taking a quick transition into our Shavasana. Just take a couple of breaths in either your child's pose or your down dog. All right, we'll make our way onto our back. We'll do a little bit of rotation for the spine. You can hug those knees into your chest as you come onto your back. Let's send the knees off to the left side first. Knees can stay bent, or you can straighten out through the legs. Try to stay grounded through your right shoulder. 3 breaths here. All right, we'll unwind. We'll come back to center. Knees off to the right side. And feel free to use props there to support your twist. If you want to straighten out through the legs, you can. You're trying to keep legs, knees, and thighs at least perpendicular with your spine. So knees and thighs at least perpendicular with your spine, rather than at like a 45-degree angle. One last breath here. Let's come out of that, unwind, maybe take happy baby. You can rock side to side, massage that tissue at the low back. Might be a little sore. You did do a lot of back bending in the lumbar spine. It's not a bad thing. Actually, it's quite healthy, as long as we're balancing strength in the body in other places, such as the core. And remember, the core is 360 degrees. It's not just the front of your abdomen. All right, let's set up for our Shavasana. I want to leave us some time to have a little brief seated meditation. The end of our practice. Relax your shoulders down your back. Remember, you can always just listen to the guided meditation from your Shavasana shape. Let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale. Imagine letting it all go, letting it all rest. Every perceived success, every perceived failure, none of it matters. Let yourself be here right now. If you'd like to come to an upright seat, you'll start to awaken the body, wiggling fingertips and toes. If you're staying to close your practice in your Shavasana, feel free to add that movement if you like. Begin to roll off to a side, come to that upright supported seat if you're taking it. So however you're most comfortable, even if that means you're coming to a seat in a chair, try to stack shoulders over hips, try to stack ears over shoulders. Deep breath in, grow tall through the spine. Exhale, settle into your seat. Let your left palm face the ceiling, your right palm face down. Left side of the body is associated with our feminine side. So imagine your ability to receive, your ability to create and be creative, your ability to be fluid and go with the flow. Energy coming in through left side, moving up the arm and into the heart. Awareness to the heart. Draw your awareness down into your right arm, into your right hand, the palms facing down. Grounding, stabilizing masculine force, however that resonates with you. And you feel both of these energies moving through your body. Left side receiving, right side stabilizing, grounding. Imagine as if you could join these two forces together by bringing your hands together at your heart, finding that balance down the midline of the body, bowing the chin into the chest. Taking a moment to honor your practice with reverence and gratitude. May you remember that you will always be okay. Find a light that guides you and keeps you safe, and have hope, help, and happiness along the way. Namaste, yogis.